Hi, I'm Josh. This is Josh is Making Music, and I thought today we could try making a lo-fi beat using a sample of a somewhat traditional Christmas song, because, 'tis the season. I guess I'm kind of coming into it last minute. The sample in question, which I'll just play a little bit of, is from the Nat King Cole version of Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. I think it's also just called the Christmas song.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
That was pitched down a little bit. YouTube copyright, please be kind. So on the PO-33, there's a couple different ways that you could approach making a beat. Usually my favorite way is to take one of the samples I have in a melodic channel up here and copy it into a drum channel. So in the melodic channel, the appeal of those, or the hook, I guess, is that you can play them back melodically, or chromatically. So if I've got this sample,
Chestnut.
you can hear, I can repitch it. It starts to sound a little Alvin and the Chipmunksy when you get, up pitched really high. But if I copy it into one of the drum channels, which I'll do now, it will automatically slice it into 16 even pieces.
Chestnuts roasting.
So you can hear how it's got it all chopped up. Now, there's a couple different things that you can do with those chops. You can play them back and that's usually what I do, but I wanted to try something different. So I'm really just going to focus on, in this sample, the two parts of it where he goes chestnuts and roasting. So what I'm going to do is I'll choose this first little chop, and I'm going to make sure I'm in trim mode, and I'll stretch it out.
Chestnuts roasting. Chestnuts roasting.
Until I've got just chestnuts.
Chestnuts roasting. Chestnuts. Chestnuts.
Perfect. And next, I'm going to find a sample that's close to where he says roasting. Right there.
Roasting on an
One more little trim. Perfect. So now I've got the two samples.
Chestnut roasting. Chestnut roasting.
So now I've got those slices chopped up. Now you might ask, why would I do that in the drum channel and not in the melodic channel? So the reason for that is that the drum channels are monophonic and the melodic channels are monophonic, but that means that if I have a drum channel, because these are all saved in one drum kit, sounds in one drum kit will mute each other. It's like choke groups on a more advanced sampler and sequencer, whereas the melodic channels do not mute each other. So I don't want to have one sample bleeding into another if I haven't timed it right. So it's easier to just have it on the drum channels where it'll mute, one chop will mute the other when it starts, instead of having it in the melodic channel where I'd have to trim it exactly. And in the drum channels, I can still change things I'll go here, the pitch.
Chestnuts.
Using these little dials. I just can't play it back chromatically the same way I would in a melodic channel. So we've got these two chops.
Chestnut roasting.
So why don't we try sequencing those into a pattern? So I'm going to hit first the chop that I want to sequence first. And now I'm going to press the little red button here, which is the right button, and I'm going to put it just on that first beat. And now I'm going to select the next thing that I want to sequence. And I think I want it there. I don't know if the tempo is set right, but let's listen and see if we're close.
Chestnut roast.
Well, not as far as I worried we would be. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Let's try 72 BPM.
Chestnut roasting.
Actually, that's pretty close to where I want it. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit to 75.
Chestnut roasting.
Perfect. Now, it's time to add in some drums. Not drum channel, but actual drums. So I'm just going to use this little drum kit I've got here. And I'm going to start by sequencing the kick. and then I'm going to sequence the snare.
Chestnut roasting, roasting.
You can hear that it's feeling a little sterile is almost the word I want to use. And that's because we haven't added swing. So I hold the BPM button and I turn the left knob and I dial in a little swing.
Chestnut roasting, roasting.
That was maybe a little bit too much swing. So I'm going to turn it down.
Chestnut roasting, roasting.
Now, when it comes to things like, how much swing you want to add, I've got it set on here. It's set like 5/10. It's really not like a science. It's more of a, you dial it in by feel, what you think sounds good. So now I'm going to add something that hopefully is going to make those samples of chestnuts roasting on an open fire kind of hit a little bit harder. And this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go into that drum channel that I have those samples in. And well, actually, it turns out I don't have a free drum channel, so I'm just going to clear out this one by holding record and sound while I've got it selected. Now it's gone. Now I'm going to copy this drum channel with chestnuts roasting on an open fire to here. I'm going to hold sound, record, and then tap the channel I want to copy to. It's copied.
Chestnut, chestnut.
Ooh, and it's very loud. So here's what we're going to do. First, I want to make sure that I've got it pitched down the same way I've got this one pitched down.
Chestnut.
So I'll go into tone, pitch it down.
Chestnut.
That sounds right to me. Yeah. Next, I'm going to go over to, I'll go back to tone just a little bit. I'm going to turn the volume down.
Chestnut.
So here's a trick with the PO-33 that will help your samples kind of kick a little bit more. And it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. So the PO-33 has a limit on its polyphony of 4 voices, which with samples, you can still do a lot with that, but admittedly is not a lot. So what I like to do is if I've got one sample that's kind of chopped up and I want to give it a little more oomph in the bass, I copy it over and then I go into the filter and I just filter out the high end so that we're left with just the bass presence.
Chestnut. Chestnut.
Now, to let you hear like a comparison between these, I'm going to copy the pattern that we were just working in. And now I'll add our low pass filtered sample to this one so that you can hear how it sounds.
Chestnut roasting. Chestnut roasting, roasting.
So that's how it sounds there compared to,
Chestnut.
I'm going to chain them so you can hear the difference. So here it is without.
Roasting, roasting. Chestnut roasting, roasting.
So hopefully you can hear that one of them has a lot more bass presence. It does sacrifice a voice of polyphony, but I find that it's kind of worth it if it gives you a little more of that presence and fullness in your sample. So the last thing that I'm going to add will be a hi-hat. So we've already got this pattern,
Chestnut.
which I'm going to just copy over the first pattern because I really just want to use the one that has more presence in the bass. I feel like I've said that phrase so many times, presence in the bass. And now I'm going to go into my samples and I'm going to find a couple of hi-hats. Because we've got swing on, I'm just going to plug these in as like all 16th notes. And we'll see how it sounds.
Chestnut roasting, roasting.
So I don't hate that. I would kind of prefer if they were a little softer though. So to accomplish that, I'm going to just take them all out, go into my tone settings, and I will turn the volume down. All right. Round 2 with the hi-hats.
Chestnut roasting, roasting. chestnut roasting, roasting.
And with that, we've made a lo-fi beat. Now, I'm sorry if it feels like I kind of rushed through it. I was actually very excited to make this. I've never really tried making a lo-fi beat out of Christmas music before, but it actually seems like a pretty popular thing to do. So, if you enjoyed the video and you found it helpful, please remember, leave a comment. Let me know. If you haven't already, please consider leaving a like and hitting subscribe. If you have done that already, thank you so much. I think that we'll close out by just listening to the beat. We'll jam over it with some of the effects in the PO-33. I want to thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out. I wish you a very happy holidays, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Chestnut roasting, roasting. 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 Chestnut roasting, it's chestnut roasting, it's chestnut roasting, it's chestnut roasting, chestnut roasting, it chestnut roasting, roasting. 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 Chestnut roasting, roasting.